Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Man on Second podcast. My name is Eric Wiedeka, joined as always by Joe Forsaro. And today we've got a special guest on the program. We've got Marlins prospect Bryson Brigman. Say hello to the people, Bryson.
How's it going, guys? How's it going? Good to be here. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at Man on Second. That's Man on 2ND. And you can find all of our videos on the Five Reasons YouTube page. Joe?
Yeah, before we get jumping in with Bryce, we're going to talk about our friends over at Dugout Mugs. We got a little teamed up with them. These great mugs, Bryce. You see that like the Marlin one. It's like the aluminum bat dugout mug. These are awesome. Just building my collection. And if you like dugout mugs, you got the website right there. If you want to help us out, like what we're doing, just hit that link, dugoutmugs.com/man-on-2nd, and get yours today. Hopefully, we're out there at spring training and have our mugs there and watching some baseball. Bryce, let's jump right in, buddy. Little background on you. You got, you obviously traded over from Seattle to the Marlins in 2018. He's been in the system since then. Really strong year last year at Jacksonville AAA. He's knocking on the door to be in the big leagues. And currently, Bryson's taking part in the Marlins minor league developmental camp up in Jupiter. So he's already been on the field a little bit with the guys. I've been up there a couple of times, saw them play and doing some things and exciting. In the minor league season, just a refresher, as the lockout in the big league level is working itself out. Minor league season's going ahead as scheduled. And Bryson, you kind of get us caught up with you, how you're preparing. And when officially does minor league camp open? And obviously you're in Jupiter right now getting some work in.
Yeah, so started the off season, back in October, end of the year. Just headed back home like I usually do, out to San Jose, California. It's where I train. Actually had my two younger brothers who are playing at Santa Clara University. They were back home and everything, so I got a nice little work group with them, and I was able to get our work in and went to the local high school and was able to always help me out in getting ground balls and field work and things like that. So just the usual really for me. But then when I got the opportunity to come out here for the early camp, kind of development camp type thing, obviously jumped at the opportunity, being able to see live at bats and just kind of get back into the flow of things before everything gets started up. I'm not sure exactly when anything's going to start. I heard it was March, I think first week, March 7th, I believe. So it should be coming up pretty soon for official minor league camp to start. So the rest of the guys should be coming in soon. But like you said, with big league, stuff, it could be forever. I don't know anything about that. But yeah, just out here and getting ready to go, and glad to be able to get a couple live ABs, stuff like that. Got a solid work group out here as well. I'm actually rooming with Joe Dunan, my buddy from the Jacksonville Shrimp. You got JJ Leday out here, Peyton Burdick, bunch of good dudes. Just iron sharpens iron, and we're out there just getting a little extra work in. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, Bryson, talk about you guys are. And I've been out there and I've seen the effort level. There's some good energy in the dugouts. There's some really good work going on those back fields. And how important is that right now? The minor leaguers, you guys had a kind of rough last few years. Obviously, 2020 with the pandemic, there was no official minor league season. 2021 was still dealing with protocols. And now you're getting a chance to any type of, like you say, live ABs and be out there, so to take us through how, this camp has been going. And like you said, getting live ABs, how many are you playing, like scrimmages every day, doing drills? What's that like?
So the younger guys we're kind of in like a subset. So like guys who were like in AAA last year and stuff like that, we're kind of off to the side. We kind of do work, we mix in with the groups, but we're not playing in games or anything right now. We just got here last week. So we should be getting more live at-bats and game-like reps in the next coming weeks. But I've seen all the younger guys, they're pretty much playing games every day, which is huge, because they're getting great reps in, all those live ABs and, even just seeing balls off the bat when you're playing defense and, going through your progressions and stuff like that, being able to see those game-like reps, I think is really big, especially for the younger guys, and really for anybody who can get some work in. So I'm hoping to mix into some more games here pretty soon. But as of now, our personal group hasn't started doing any of that yet. But like you said, good energy out there. They're working hard, man. Those guys are out there working all day, getting their lifts in after, taking care of the bodies and everything like that. So it just gets you in the routine and gets you ready to go for a season.
Eric, jump in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So going into a season, obviously, you're coming off of a season last year in which a lot of people really, statistically, we really think that you started to break out and kind of come into your own at the AAA level. What is your mindset like coming off of a season like that?
Well, I think having success at that level just gives you more confidence, just allows you to kind of reassure yourself like, hey, I can do this. I can compete with these guys, up and down big leaguers, a lot of guys who have been around the game and know the game really well, know how to get guys out. And you just, you learn things from them, and to be able to go out there and produce and do well just makes me feel confident that I have the opportunity to, at least give myself a shot in the big leagues. And I know I can go up there and compete and hold my own. Obviously, it's a completely different ball game, but it just, as you kind of climb up the ladder, you get more and more confidence as you move up. And I think that's really the main thing. I don't want to put too much weight onto it because, in baseball, things go up and down. Just like I've had plenty of seasons that weren't super great. I've had seasons that were great. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of comes in waves and stuff like that. But as long as I'm getting better, and that's kind of how I felt like last year, I was getting better and I was continuing to, kind of perfect my craft a little bit. Just really just gives you confidence. So I'm just looking forward to keeping it rolling and, trying to get a little bit better, doing even better next year or this coming year.
Bryson, talk a little bit about development, because I'm big. I've covered this sport for 20 years now and been on the Marlins, and I'm very fascinated in minor league development, and it's not necessarily always your statistics at the lower and even the higher minor league levels. It's development to get you prepared for the big leagues and perform and succeed at the big leagues. And I bring this up to see what you kind of are adjusting to and working on. We had Zach McCambley a couple of months ago on the podcast, and then I spoke to Zach just up in Jupiter a week or so ago, and he noted in one of his live BP sessions, we know he has a good breaking ball, but he didn't even throw the breaking ball. He threw fastball changeups. That was what he was working on that day. As of this morning, I was reading a story in The Athletic. They wrote about Alec Thomas, the Arizona Diamondbacks outfield prospect, and what the Diamondbacks did last year after like the first month. They told a lot of their hitters, like in AA on down, to take a strike before they swung the bat. Which obviously if you're already maybe 2-3 pitches in before you swing, or you're 0-1, in the count, it changes things. But I see what they're doing. They want, it's all about development. It's not, if you're a great fastball hitter, you might get to the big leagues if you hit mediocre fastballs in the minor leagues, but you get to the big leagues, you're going to see a lot of other stuff than fastballs. So how do you kind of approach development and what you personally need to work on as you become a little bit older prospect, knocking on the door for the big leagues?
Yeah, so obviously you're always wanting to improve different parts of your game, as much as you can, defense, hitting, throwing, all those different types of things. You always want to be improving, but I think once you kind of get to the older levels, it's building that consistency in your routine, really, understanding what gets you ready for 7 o'clock, understanding how to go through your film, how to see, okay, this is, here I was dipping my shoulder a little bit, or okay, my timing was late. So really just understanding how to get back to where you're at. Like you were talking with AA, with some younger guys, taking a pitch, things like that. I feel like that's more at the lower levels. You're going to see more of that. Just because you want guys to either see more pitches, work more at bats. That maybe a guy's ambushing fastballs all the time, so they want to see him work the count, things like that. But me personally, I've gotten to the point where I've been working with the coaches and stuff, and we have a certain set of plans that I'm working towards. So I'm really just trying to show up every day and stay consistent towards what I'm working with, and I think that's the best way for me to continue to progress, as opposed to changing things or trying to find something new that might help me. always open to, learning new things and doing that. But at the same time, really honing in on my personal routine and being able to, really be able to get back. So when I'm going well and then all of a sudden something dips and, you're getting a little bit of a slump or something, how quickly can I get back to that consistent plane? So finding out what it is in my routine, what it is in my practice that gets me back to that position, really.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that word up because I was going to ask you. It sounds like you're more routine oriented, be the same routine. This is what I do and the consistency of that. And then, because I've heard a lot of guys, they'll use either preparation or whatever. And once you have that consistent, then you can live with the result as long as you're doing the steps that keep you in the path, and eventually results should emerge. Is that kind of where you are?
Yeah, exactly. Because, if you're kind of going everything off of results, you round out, all of a sudden you want to change. Oh, do I put my hands up here? Do I bring them down? Do I load earlier? Do I do a leg kick? So it's more for me, like you said, working on that consistency and that routine, and then living with the results, right? Letting go of the results, let the results be the results. But are you giving yourself a chance to get good at something? You know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of times, early on in my career where I would have a stretch of a week where something wasn't working, I wasn't doing well, so I'd switch everything up. And then I'd have success for a little bit, and then I would switch it up again, right? So the years that I've done really well, I've really focused on, okay, this is the swing that I'm bringing into the season. I'm staying with it. I'm going to keep going through the ups and the downs. And I feel that's the best way to give yourself an opportunity to actually be consistent and get good, have good results and things like that, as opposed to searching all the time and looking for, okay, how can I get that little bit of success?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that strikes me, kind of that almost comes hand in hand with like a certain level of maturity, it seems like, because do you ever get that temptation where, because it's got to be like a constant kind of like having to remind yourself like this is going to work itself out, this is going to, I have to stick to my routine. Do you ever get that temptation, even, on maybe an extended slump, to like start changing things up? And how hard is it to kind of keep that routine going?
Yeah, there's always the temptation, you know what I mean? There's always that feeling of, oh, okay, maybe something, maybe if I do something different, or, you'll see one of your teammates or somebody on the opposing team doing something that you considered doing and they're having success, and they're, oh, should I do that? Should I switch my bats up? Should I get a new model? All those types of things. But I always want to be open to adjustments, but just small, minor adjustments. And then understanding why I'm making that adjustment as opposed to just trying something new, right? So looking at the video and saying, okay, hey, your load, you're doing, what I'm saying, maybe you're closing yourself off. So we're going to work on a drill of, opening up a little bit for, a couple of days and see if that evens it out. So purposeful work and purposeful small adjustments, I feel, is the best way to go about it, as opposed to, I'm not doing well, let me just try something new. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bryson, how a year ago when you were doing really well, and one thing that has changed in my 20 years of covering big league ball is with social media especially, and more people are focusing on the minor leagues than ever before. They kind of know every player in an organization. And you had a lot of people rooting for you to be in the big leagues last year. Obviously, that's not your call, but how much were you aware of that? There's this, obviously, Brigman needs to be up. He's had a good week. He's had a good month. He's had a good year. Where you don't want to get caught up in it. You don't want to jump ahead, but you're human too. You want to be in the big leagues. You probably feel, you've shown enough. But this sport, it kind of is very cruel. It can be, and it's very, that things don't always happen when you think they should, for better or worse. So how do you kind of deal with that, knowing that, just being ready for the opportunity and not letting your guard down to not get frustrated if it doesn't happen when you think it should happen?
That's a good way to put it. And it's definitely something that you deal with, because, when you're in the locker room, you see different guys going up and down and things like that. And you're thinking, oh man, like, when do I get my chance, or things like that. And, I see some of the tweets and stuff like that. And it was always cool to see like, oh, Brigman's, doing great. Cause I haven't really had that in my career where it was like, oh, this guy's doing great. I was, kind of a middle of the road type prospect. And, maybe a tweet here, a tweet there if I'm doing really well, but less about, let's tweet everything. So to see some cool stuff, some positive stuff was pretty cool. Obviously, I know that Twitter doesn't determine who goes up and down. If it did, maybe I would have had a shot up there. But the thing is, for me, is how can you just keep pushing, right? Because at the end of the day, like you said, it's a cool sport, and all the spots are taken. So it comes down to when does that spot open up, and just staying ready for that opportunity. There's always times where, hey, you're doing well and you're thinking, oh man, I should get up there. But the game doesn't owe you anything. Nobody up there owes you anything. Just got to keep working and keep pushing and trusting and believing that I'll get my opportunity and take advantage of it when I get up there.
I'll give you a little anecdote to what you just said about the game doesn't owe you anything. In 2009, I'm covering that year at the Marlins. It was one of their years where they finished over 500, didn't make the playoffs. They finished second place that year. And we ended the year in Philadelphia. And Freddie Gonzalez was the manager. And literally, like right before the final day of the season, after the team was like 87, 88 wins, whatever it was, there was reports coming out that Freddie Gonzalez, the manager's job, was on the line. And no one saw that coming on the beat. We were like, that kind of started. And when we were talking to Freddie, it comes up, to deal with those reports. He wasn't dismissed after that year. He ended up being halfway through the next year. But Freddie said, even though he knew he did a good job and that season went, 500 second place, he's like, nothing is owed. Like, they know, like, you could win 90 games, you could win the World Series and get fired. It's just the nature of a very bottom line, industry. And that's what I have a ton of respect. And one reason why you're always following guys, but I'm always, when I'm my reporting, I'm mindful that somebody else is not getting an opportunity. Somebody else is, you guys are busting it for that opportunity. And, when it happens, it's the greatest thing in the world. And that's what we're hoping for you, that when that time comes, you're ready for it, you seize it. And who knows, if spring training comes, with the big league level and you're part of MLB or big league camp, you don't know. Then you impress, and then it's just a matter of time. So, is that how you kind of look at it? Is I got to keep forging, I got to keep pressing. I can't worry about what didn't happen. If I'm not at my best, I'm not going to get the call up anyway.
100%. Yeah. For me, baseball has always been a what have you done for me lately type of sport. You can have a great year, you can have great 2 years in a row, but at the end of the day, we need you to show up not just every year, but every day. Every day you're being evaluated. Every day you have a new opportunity. You have to beat somebody out. You're constantly competing. And that doesn't go away just because I had a good year last year. So for me, I'm just trying to always, push harder than I did the year before. Take care of the body and take what I learned from each situation and apply that to my next year. There's always something to learn, even if you did phenomenal. There's always things I can do better. There's things I learned about, going through a season, going through a AAA season, different things like that. And I think that all adds up, and I just want to use it to my advantage as much as I can. And I know that nothing is owed. I still need to go out there, compete, and earn an opportunity, earn a spot. And that's what I'm planning on doing.
Absolutely. So I want to touch on the 2018 season. You were traded from Seattle. You ended up here in the Miami Marlins organization. We hear stories about kind of the whirlwind that it is when big league players get moved and what that kind of looks like. But just take me through that. Like, you get that notification. Okay, so I'm moving, and I'm moving literally across the country. What's that like?
Yeah, it definitely was weird. I think it was All-Star break, I want to say. But I was in Modesto, California, which is right by San Jose. So I was pretty much, right at home. I was doing well. I was feeling really good. Family could come up and watch me every week and everything like that. And then you get that call, and it's like, hey, we traded you. Thanks for everything you did, and you got a flight. You got a flight in the morning. It's real quick. It's not okay. Hey, take your time and this and that. It's like, hey, we need you on a plane tomorrow morning. Pack up your stuff and go. So you got to break your lease. You got to change all your different stuff. You got to try and figure out, okay, how do I get my car out there? How do I? Because it's California to Florida. It's not exactly a quick trip. So like you said, It's one of those things where it's quick and it's, there's a lot of stuff going on. You build friendships with people in one organization, then you're the new guy who, maybe their friend I got traded for or something, and hey, they really like Maven and stuff like that. And now who's this new guy that's coming in, and you got to kind of, navigate those waters as well. So, it's just part of the game. It was definitely something that really opened my eyes to, okay, hey, you're playing pro ball now, Bryce. You know what I'm saying? You get traded and you're really in this thing, So I thought it was a pure honor, honestly, to be traded for someone like Cameron Maven. I know there was some, international money on the side that came with me as well, but just to have my name mentioned next to Cameron Maven, was just a really cool thing for me. I always grew up, watching him, seeing on different teams and stuff like that. I'm not going to say, oh, he was my favorite player or anything, but he's legit big leaguer. So, definitely big shoes to fill and stuff like that. But I just knew it was a good opportunity, so just wanted to do what I could and come over and play baseball.
Yeah, as we were saying, I was telling Bryson this before we went live. I covered when the Marlins traded to acquire Cameron Maven in the Miguel Cabrera Dontrelle Willis trade, and then saw him get traded to San Diego, and then years later saw him return to Miami, and then ultimately I was basically speaking to him in the clubhouse in Atlanta when he was telling me the day before he anticipated being gone, and there he was, the guy that I covered on 2 different stints, always a great guy to cover, and like Bryson said, you traded for a good player. That's always an honor. And as fate has it, Cam just retires. Now he's going to be a broadcaster. Did you ever think about? I was traded for a guy who was traded once for Miguel Cabrera and Dontrelle Willis. I mean,
to be honest, I didn't even know that. So that just elevates the whole thing.
That's what makes me feel real old. But Marlin fans remember, back after the 2007 season, when they got rid of the last pieces of their 2003 World Series team, Miguel Cabrera and Dontrelle Willis, they moved them to Detroit for Maven, Andrew Miller, who obviously the relief pitcher, and then 4 other guys. As Burt Badenhop ended up getting the most mileage as a Marlin as a relief pitcher, for years. And but yeah, that was a generational trade. So so you could tell people that you're traded for the guy who got traded for Miguel Cabrera. So,
100%. I mean, that's pretty cool. I'm definitely adding that to the back pocket. There's no doubt on that. But Maven's no slouch himself either. So either way it goes, it's an honor, and it's something where I don't think I'll ever be compared to Cameron Maven as, oh, well, it was just this trade of, baseball is multiple trades or different things, different roles and different situations for people. So I don't look at it that way. It's just, hey, if you get traded for a big leaguer, that means you could play a little bit. And, there's something to be said about that, I think.
Well, and, I'm sorry, real quick, one last thing with Maven. Here's a guy, too. I mean, he came in as a top prospect, a first-round pick, a top 10 prospect in baseball at one point, had his struggles early on, went and kind of reinvented himself in more of a platoon role play, but a quality player, got a World Series ring with Houston, was actually on the field in center field, I believe it was, in the 9th inning to close out the Dodgers. I think a ball was hit to him, so he recorded one of the final 3 outs of a World Series. Great teammate, guy that everyone has immense amount of respect for. And that he's just a guy that kind of reinvented himself along, that adjusted to, hey, look, I didn't reach the all-star level, but like you say, he was a quality big league player. And, that's, I have a lot of respect for what he did and was able to have a long career, when I've seen a lot of guys, if they don't meet that expectation early, it could fizzle out and they may be out of baseball, and had all the hype and it never worked out. So just pass that along. As it's a sport of perseverance. It's a sport of, you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. As long as you're healthy and have an opportunity and are showing some skills, you never know when that day is going to come.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It's something I'd like to be as well. I know everyone says good things about him as a teammate and everything. So if I can be compared in that way as a great teammate, somebody who perseveres through and continues to grind and fight for his teammates and fight for the game that we love, then I'm good with that, regardless of the results.
Eric, you want to take us to our last segment?
Yeah, absolutely. So you were on the 2012 18 and under team. Obviously, that team those kinds of teams usually it's very interesting when we bring guys on to kind of see who they were playing with as they were coming up. Who were some of the names that you were playing with coming up?
Yeah, so I was lucky to play for a few USA teams. Shout out to all the boys. I don't know if anyone's going to see this, but that 2012 team had Christian Arroyo, had Kevin Biggio on there, Keegan Thompson. I'm trying to think who else. Steven Gonzalez, I think he was up there with the Twins a little bit. So I mean, honestly, anytime you're with USA, you're going to be playing with great players. Like I said before, iron sharpens iron. So, the best players that you're with, best coaches, that you're going to be able to kind of develop with. And it's a different experience, especially when you go over to another country and you're kind of in that foreign land and it's you against, everybody else type thing. Really brings you together and stuff like that. So, got to play with a lot of really good players, and it's nothing but going to help you out. I would always try and pick out little things from different guys, whether it was pitchers, hitters, didn't matter. I always wanted to pick up little things and say, hey, can I add that to my game, or see this guy's work ethic and say, okay, I like how he does that. Let me do this. And so anytime you see somebody who has success, if you can pick out a little thing, I think that's my kind of way of looking at it is, hey, pick out something and if you can emulate that and add it to your game, it's only going to make you better. So, yeah, I played on a few different teams. Zach Collins, Cole Tucker, Brian Reynolds, bunch of dudes who are still up there doing their thing. And, it was a real honor, really, just to be out there and to wear that jersey in general. It comes with a lot of pride, and we were able to bring back a couple golds. So definitely stoked on that as well.
Yeah, we like to, Bryson, here. We really focus, as well as with Marlins and MLB and the minors. We really like to dive deep into amateur ball at the with a lot of it with the state of Florida hooked to it, because obviously we're based here, and California, much like Florida, you can play, and the amount of players are year round and such. The amount of players are just immense. And like you just rattled off some really impressive names. But yeah, and Zach Collins being one of them, the South Florida kid himself, caught a no-hitter this past year or whatever, right. I think it was. Yeah, it's like just how your paths cross, and it's just, we're trying to, introduce the game to younger kids and just remind you, you're not that far removed. And, we could go to see great players in high schools. Eric and I, probably you two out in San Jose, you could probably get in the car and go to a high school and see a guy that's going to be drafted. It's not going to take you too long to find a guy who's going to be drafted in your vicinity. So what was that like, and how much do you pay attention to that, the development aspect, and what message would you have for kids who play baseball? And that's what I'm hoping a lot of young kids are watching and get a feel for what it takes to become a pro ball player.
So that's a great question. Let me grab – I'm seeing my low battery thing hopping up. Give me 1 second.
All right.
No worries.
That's a first for the pod. That's a change.
Right.
Yeah, Zach Collins right here at American Heritage up in Plantation. I saw him play high school ball a few years ago, and these guys play either with or against, and it's always fun to see who they were up against.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so you were asking kind of along the lines of, what would you say to youth players? And
yeah, I rambled on, but yeah, if you wanted to, just a message to kids and how important it was in your development. Obviously, you're where you are because of it, but just kind of relay that.
Yeah, so I think a good theme on it is obviously, if you have the opportunity to be able to play, with other good kids, whether it's travel ball, USA baseball, or whatever different avenues you have to kind of go and push yourself. I don't think you necessarily need to – I don't really know how the climate is, to be honest, now with scouting and stuff. I don't know if you need to go to a perfect game or to different type of showcases and things like that, area codes. I went to area codes, never went to perfect game or anything like that. But I just think the main thing is continuing to get better, as opposed to trying to always put the result out right now. Obviously, you want to compete and do your best in everything that you're doing, but it's a long game. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot that comes to it. That you're not always going to have success as much as you want to be consistent. How can you respond when things aren't doing well? How can you? So, I would say as much as you're working on your physical skills and your your ability to play the game and things like that, your strength and stuff like that, I would say also take the time, which I wish I did when I was younger, to work on your mental fortitude, like your ability to, let go of failure, to be able to stay focused on your goals, stay focused on things like that, because there's a lot of players out there who can play the game, and there might be somebody out there who can hit 400-foot bombs during BP, and you're wanting to do the same thing. You're wanting to hit home runs. You want to do all of that. I've always gone through that in my career. I've never been a big home run hitter or anything, but I see all the guys in my group, they're all hitting home runs, and you kind of want to change your game to be somebody else, right? My main point with that is be who you are, know what your strengths are, and don't be afraid to be a guy who just hits line drives. Don't be afraid to be somebody who just plays fundamental defense, and maybe you don't throw 95 across the diamond. That doesn't mean you can't play this game. I guarantee you that. It doesn't mean you can't play this game. There's plenty of guys out there who just play the game the right way. They play the game hard, and there's a lot of coaches and organizations ultimately that value that type of stuff. Good character and guys who go out there and give everything they can every day. So I know it was kind of a lot of different things I was saying there, but the main thing I would say is show up every day, give 100%, right, and let go of the stuff that doesn't go your way, right, and then keep continuing and showing up and being consistent, being that guy who's just willing to work and get better and understands that you're going to fail. And that's really all you can do. Show up, put in the work, control what you can control. And I don't know if that helps. Hopefully that helps.
No, that's great advice. I hope people pay attention to that. And you're right. You got to know the player you are. You got to identify what player are you. It was like when Stanton was here, it was kind of funny because he would hit homers over the building. Everyone else would be happy to hit homers. And so you basically knew he kind of showed everyone else, well, I can't hit homers like him. So right. I better just do what I can do because I can't be that, only very few can be that. But it's great advice. And I think you really hit on, Bryce, what you say, and that you got to know who you are. It's easy to, like you say, to think, hey, I'm going to be a 350 hitting in the big league or a 310 because I hit 350, I hit 400 in high school. I'm going to be a 300 hitter easily. Well, you may find your game is more of, I might be a role guy. If I could hit, 250 with a 310 on base, but plays plus defense at 4 positions, and everybody on the team swears by me because I'm going to just die for this team and run through a wall for the manager, that may be good enough. And then you may have a long career and a post career, meaning, staying in the game, either coaching, front office, whatever, just being a student of the game. But I think it's really important for players to realize who they are. We had Juan Pierre on the podcast, a couple of months back. Obviously, he was a speed guy, no power, but no one knew their game better than Juan Pierre, what their limitations were, and that's why he had a long career and a great career.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's never. I'm not trying to say, hey, don't shoot for the stars, don't want to be the superstar who so this and that. Obviously, you want to believe in yourself, right? You believe in yourself 100%, be confident in your ability, but understand that you don't have to be like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Work on what you can do, find your strengths, find your lane, and just continue to go. Obviously you want to work on your weaknesses and stuff like that, but just continue to keep pushing, man. It's a long game. There's a lot that goes on. It's a lot of work to get to the top, but continue to have that perseverance and keep pushing and trusting in yourself.
That's honestly a really, really good message. And it would be a great way to end the podcast, but I do want to put you on the spot for just a second before we leave you here. You mentioned some of the guys that you played with. I want to give you an opportunity to shout out, some of your favorite teammates. Could be a former player, somebody in the past organization, somebody that we've never heard of. Anybody, man. Shout them out.
Shout out anybody, huh? Okay, well, I gotta shout out my boy Gareth Morgan. He was he's not playing anymore, but he was a Seattle Mariners prospect, 80 power. Absolutely loved watching him hit BP every day. He was one of my good buddies, and Kind of wish he was still out there playing with me. So hey, G, if you see this, miss you, man, and hope everything's well. But I don't know. I mean, there's just so many people. I feel like someone's gonna watch this. They're like, no, man. But I mean, I got Nick Zamorelli, same thing, not playing, but one of my good buddies. Nick Wells down the road. He's playing for the Nationals, still slinging it up there, lefty. So that's what I'll go with for now. Just kind of an ode to the old boys back at the Mariners. I see all my guys here at the Marlins, so it'll be all right. They can give me a little dig if they need to, but yeah, I'll go with that.
No, Bryson Brigman has been a great guest. We are really happy to have you on. And one reason why we want, this is big for us as we grow in this podcast, is to bring current players in and bring, minor leaguers in, kind of give you guys an indication out there of what they go through and what their lives are. And we're rooting for you, buddy. And thanks for taking some time today, and the best. And when I get up to Jupiter, I hope to bump into you.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again for having me. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, when you're out in Jupiter, I'll have to catch you. Have to say what's up and see how we're doing.
Yep.
For sure, man. Any socials you want to shout out before you go?
It's easy. Everything's just Bryson Brigman. All one word. BRYSON BRIGMAN. Pretty easy. You look it up. Should be able to find me. There's not too many of them. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Take us home, Eric.
Yes, sir. We appreciate having you, man. Just one last time, just wanted to say that. You can follow the show, as I said, on Twitter at ManOnSecond. That's at ManOn2ND. And you can catch all of the videos of our podcast at the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Thank you, guys, and we'll see you next time.